What's up, gamers? Today we're talking the future of WoW and what's most likely to happen next. This Friday we've got Blizzcon and it's going to be full of WoW announcements. In fact, 3 of the 8 main panels are going to be about the future of WoW and WoW Classic. But other than the announcement about the schedule for BlizzCon, we've barely heard anything about the future of Classic directly from Blizzard. So I went straight to the community to find out what everybody's expecting and hoping for with the future of Classic. Let's dive into what the future of Classic should look like according to the players. To talk about the future, we do need to revisit the past first. For years after TBC initially released, players had requested a classic version of WoW. Some players simply preferred the world-focused vanilla version of the game without things like flying mounts. Others hated systems like the Raid Finder and the in-game cash shop. After years of waiting though, we all know the story. In 2017, J. Allen Brack finally announced on the BlizzCon stage that Classic WoW was in development. Since then, Classic fans have been treated to a maelstrom of releases from Classic to TBC to Wrath. We've even gotten new spin-offs like Season of Mastery as well as new hardcore permadeath servers. Blizzard's plan has been really simple so far. They're giving us new expansions on an accelerated timeline about every year and a half. In between those expansions, they're also giving us mini-releases like the Season of Mastery to tide over Classic players. So the question is whether Blizzard will keep that game plan going into next year, or whether they'll just change things up completely. So let's look at the main community theories right now. The first theory is that we're going to get a Classic Plus announcement at BlizzCon. There are a lot of different reasons people think Classic Plus will be announced. Chris Metzen's recent return to Blizzard being the main reason. There's also a message from the Blizzard CEO saying that WoW will have the most news of any game at BlizzCon. If Classic Plus is announced, it would most likely come during the Future of Classic panel happening on Friday. I plan to stream the full BlizzCon day on my Twitch channel No Hit Jerome with game time giveaways and a high-level real-time discussion of the news. Come check out the stream starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday. So if we do end up getting a Classic Plus announcement on Friday, the question will be what that actually means. First, what is Classic Plus? Classic Plus would be a continuation of the vanilla experience. It would be taking the no changes mentality from the 2019 release and flipping it completely. To paraphrase, Classic Plus is brand new content for the WoW Classic game. We really don't know exactly what the new content would be. It could be brand new raids taking advantage of already built locations like the Karazhan Crypts or the Ruins of Uldum. On the topic of Karazhan, we could also just see TBC raids like Kara scaled to 40-man versions. That may seem crazy, but in the John Stats WoW book, it was shown that Kara initially was designed to come out in vanilla. It just took too long to develop, so it was moved to TBC. New dungeons are also very highly requested. For example, a Grim Batol dungeon or a Timbermaw Hold dungeon to improve that really annoying rep farm. Or a pirate dungeon. I mean, everybody loves pirates, right? New content is a Classic Plus feature almost everybody can agree on, but Classic Plus should be way more than just new raids and dungeons. After all, many players believe Classic was the best version of WoW for world building and leveling content. One source of inspiration for these new areas may just be Turtle WoW. That's a popular private server that's taken the Classic Plus concept to new heights. Turtle WoW added new questing hubs like the Sparkwater Port with over 50 new quests and vendors. One of the typical complaints in Classic is something like Alliance players having to grind nearly 3 levels because they run out of quests. It makes a lot of sense to add new hubs to areas like Dustwallow Marsh to make questing smoother and more enjoyable. Speaking of quests, there's nearly universal approval on message boards like Reddit for the idea of extending questlines further. For example, a questline to purify the corrupted Ashbringer or quest just to ease some of the grinding pain in the later levels. I know I would love more questlines similar to the Stalvin line or the Onyxia attunement. These questlines could reward new items that improve quality of life. I'm sure Druids would love a class quest that rewards them with a permanent manual crowd pummeler. Another universally accepted and talked about feature of Classic Plus is new races. Ogres were originally intended to be in vanilla, but this was scrapped later on. It would make a ton of sense for Blizzard to go back and use any pre-made existing assets for Classic Plus, since that's just efficient game development. Another heavily talked about rumor is that High Elves would end up being added. These are already in Turtle WoW, and they frankly look exactly like Blood Elves, so from a development standpoint, it seems like a no-brainer. Also, more controversially, while mucking about with racials, it would also make sense to change up race and class restrictions. For example, allowing Alliance to play Shamans and Horde to play Paladins. On the topic of classes, Classic Plus could also involve a reworking of class balance to make less viable specs like Shadow Priest more viable. They could also take overpowered specs like Fury Warrior down a notch. Personally, I'd love to see small class changes to every class like Resto Druid Hot stacking in raids. The problem though is that small buffs to less relevant classes really won't stop serious guilds from bringing half a raid of Fury Warriors. If you or a loved one got replaced in Classic by a Fury Warrior, subscribe to the channel today. Subscribing will temporarily distract you from the pain of sitting on the bench. The idea of stacking Fury Warriors points to a bigger issue with Classic Plus that the community is grappling with. Classic Plus is 100 different things to people. Some people think the best thing about Classic is stacking 25 warriors and getting world buffs. Some players think world buffs are the worst part of Classic and having to get them causes everybody to raid log and quit the game. Everybody's got a different view of what's relevant in Classic and what should be focused on. No matter what though, if we get Classic Plus, it needs to be a completely fresh experience and it needs a lot more fanfare and hype than Season of Mastery or even Hardcore. Blizzard really has a chance to build something universally beloved for years to come, similar to what Jagex did with old school RuneScape. Whether we get Classic Plus or not does remain to be seen, but we do have another path forward for the future of Classic to talk about as well. That path is pretty different and a lot more orange. See, there's a high chance instead of Classic Plus that we get Cataclysm. Cataclysm, of course, being the next expansion after Wrath of the Lich King. A whole new modern upgrade for the world, or downgrade depending on who you ask. Then you have new races like the Goblin and the Worgen, as well as the new archaeology profession for people who want to feel like Bran Bronzebeard. There's also the new transmog system that really took collecting items to the next level. And you can't forget the new raids, the new arena seasons, dungeons, and legendary weapons. While I'd be pretty happy to play Cataclysm and enjoy the expansion for my very first time, a lot of the communities vary against the idea. Cataclysm to many players is the line in the sand where WoW became retail. In fact, many players quit WoW right around the Cataclysm expansion and didn't return until Classic in 2019. I'll be very interested to see how Blizzard sells Cataclysm to the current Classic audience. Maybe they'll just give us the game exactly how it was in 2011. Or maybe they'll update things like the famously difficult heroics and the Dragon Soul raid being a disappointment. See, if they release Cataclysm, it's also a confirmation of another idea that's been floating around the WoW community. Mists of Pandaria Classic is something many players have been dreaming of for the past few years. Recent Mists of Pandaria private servers seem to do really well, and the expansion's been somewhat of a cult classic. I mean, even after the initial negativity around the pandas. If we get Classic Cata, we're all but guaranteed to get Pandaria Classic within the next 2 years, which I'd be really excited to play myself. Although Classic Plus and Cataclysm are the main theories going around the future of Classic, there are several bonus theories we need to talk about. The first theory relates to a serious problem the game has right now. While we have an era version of Vanilla to play anytime we want, we don't have this for TBC, and we likely won't have it for Wrath either. That means fans of TBC are just completely out of luck for replaying classic raids like Sunwell Plateau. There clearly needs to be some solution to release old expansions every year or two, since otherwise players will just go back to private servers. Another theory people have is related to Hardcore. The original vision of Hardcore involved solo self-found, which means players could only use what they found from questing and killing monsters. The version of Hardcore we got was much more focused around trading in the auction house. This decision makes the game less replayable and less enjoyable over time for some players, and a lot of people have wanted a special solo self-found server. Blizzard may argue you could already play solo self-found by just not trading. It is something people keep asking for though, and it could happen in the future. In the meantime, all we have right now is the best raid in Classic history, so you need to get the most out of it. Stop feeling overwhelmed and get the most out of the rest of Icecrown Citadel in Phase 4 with this video.